Hey Bama fans! Dabo Swinney rants at critics and mentions Alabama. If Clemson is tired of winning, they can fire me. Could he land at Alabama? That was mentioned the other day. But now that DeBoer is getting the team going? Let's see what's new. Clemson coach Dabo Swinney delivered a fiery and direct speech to critics after the loss that left the Tigers with a disappointing 1-2 record this season. The pressure on the coach quickly mounted, and he didn't shy away from using his experience at Alabama as a sort of shield to reinforce his message. As Swinney tries to justify his legacy at Clemson, it's impossible not to look at Alabama, especially now with DeBoer, and realize that the Tuscaloosa program remains the gold standard of college football. Swinney, a native of Pelham, Alabama, made a point of reminding fans and the press that he knows all too well what it means to face high expectations. He spent 13 years at Alabama before arriving at Clemson, and that experience shaped his competitive mindset. Even so, comparisons between the two programs are inevitable. Alabama, over the past few decades, has built a virtually unstoppable machine under Nick Saban. Now, with DeBoer at the helm, there's a new dynamic, but the legacy of excellence remains intact. Swinney knows this better than anyone, and perhaps that's why he chose to cite Alabama as part of his defense. What's so bad about this program? Swinney asked, referring to the work he did at Clemson. He noted that, even in its worst season in the last 14 years, the program is still at a level many other college teams would envy. 7 playoff appearances in 10 years, 4 national championship appearances, and 2 championships are numbers that place Clemson in a select group. However, Swinney also acknowledged that winning is no longer enough for some sectors of the fan base. The standard set by the coach himself has raised expectations to the point where even good seasons are seen as disappointing. Here comes Alabama's shadow. When Swinney mentions Clemson's historic achievements, it's impossible not to think of the absolute dominance Alabama exerted under Saban. And even with the transition to DeBoer, the Tuscaloosa program remains an intimidating force. The difference is that, while Alabama appears to be navigating the changes smoothly, Clemson faces questions about Swinney's ability to maintain its level of competitiveness. It's as if Alabama is seen as a perfect machine, while Clemson, despite its recent successes, is still proving itself. Swinney, however, hasn't backed down from the criticism. He was emphatic in stating that if fans are tired of winning, they can simply send him away, but he warned that he won't disappear. "I'll go somewhere else and coach," he said provocatively. And here's the question, could he actually return to Alabama? It's an intriguing idea, but unlikely. With DeBoer showing clear signs that he's ready to carry on Saban's legacy, Alabama doesn't seem to need a drastic change. Furthermore, DeBoer has demonstrated a unique ability to keep the program running at a high level without trying to imitate his predecessor's style. Back at Clemson, Swinney used his speech to remind that adversity is nothing new to him. He emphasized that his teams have always known how to respond when pressured, and that resilience is a hallmark of the program. "We could finish 6-6, but I don't think so," he declared, confident that the team can still turn things around. For Swinney, Clemson's story transcends the results of a single season, and he's right. Still, fans' patience has its limits, and Swinney knows he needs to prove his time isn't up. Meanwhile, Alabama remains a beacon of sorts in college football. Even with Saban's departure, the program hasn't lost its way. DeBoer has brought new energy, maintaining the focus on winning and building consistent teams. Perhaps this is the big difference between Alabama and Clemson right now. While the former seems to have found the formula to thrive even in times of change, the latter is still struggling to prove it can maintain its momentum without succumbing to external pressures. Will this guy coach Bama someday? Alabama has been undergoing a quiet but powerful transformation, led by a face who, until recently, was patiently awaiting his chance. Ty Simpson, after a 3-year wait, is beginning to take center stage in Tuscaloosa, and he's doing so in a way that's caught the attention of experts and confirms what DeBoer has been building in his second year at the helm, a team that grows week by week, knows how to handle pressure, and finds in its quarterback the confidence to aim high. ESPN analyst Tom Luginbill didn't mince words when discussing Simpson's performance over the past 2 weeks. The redshirt junior completed 41 of 46 passes for 608 yards and 7 touchdowns, numbers that reflect efficiency but, above all, reveal maturity. For those who closely follow the Crimson Tide, it's not just about the stats, it's about the calm with which he runs the offense, his mental control in his reads, and his ability to move within the pocket when the pressure is on. This balance, highlighted by Luginbill, is precisely what sets great college quarterbacks apart. Simpson didn't follow the usual path. In a time when the rush leads many young athletes to transfer when they don't have immediate playing time, he stayed in Tuscaloosa. He waited, trained, matured, and absorbed every detail of the system until he was ready for the right moment. This patience, combined with commitment, is now translating into visible results on the field. And this is where Alabama reaps the rewards of work that requires both discipline and trust in the process. Luginbill's approach goes beyond talent. He emphasizes growth, age, and experience as determining factors, noting that nothing replaces practice time and a deep understanding of the game. For the Crimson Tide, this represents more than good offensive numbers, it signifies the consolidation of a leadership position. The offense is finding its rhythm, the players around Simpson are maturing, and, perhaps most importantly, the team is taking care of the ball. No detail is more valuable when entering the SEC, where every possession can decide a season. With DeBoer at the helm, Alabama shows it has learned from its early struggles and is now finding consistency. The team is no longer just about names or tradition, it's about execution and renewed confidence. And Ty Simpson emerges as the symbol of this new phase. He has not only raised his own level, but also enhanced the performance of the entire offense. As the schedule becomes more demanding, especially with the SEC on the horizon, the expectation in Tuscaloosa is clear: maintain this standard of play. If Simpson continues at his current pace, Alabama will not only have found its definitive starting quarterback but will also have laid the foundation to once again compete for titles with the same strength and intensity that marked its history. And that's what everyone expects. This week's news is hot, coming straight from the high-profile recruiting scene. DeBoer and his staff nailed it by extending an offer to Jared Dowdy, a young offensive line talent who has been attracting attention from some of the biggest powerhouses in the sport. He comes from Banneker High School in Georgia, and his name is already being whispered with respect in the hallways where the future of high school football is discussed. Dowdy is exactly the type of player Alabama always seeks: imposing physique, impressive mobility, and a sky-high ceiling. It's no surprise that programs like Auburn, Georgia, and Michigan have also entered the fray. But there's something special when Alabama enters the picture. The name Crimson Tide carries with it a gravitational pull that's hard to ignore. And it seems that, even at such a young age, Dowdy has already felt it. What makes this story even more interesting is how quickly it all happened. All of these offers came after August 30th, a whirlwind of recognition that took many observers by surprise. Alabama, ever astute, was quick on the draw and ensured his name was among the top of the youngsters' list. This aggressive recruiting strategy reflects the vision of DeBoer, who since taking the reins of the program has demonstrated a remarkable ability to identify key players before they fully explode onto the national radar. He knows that players like Dowdy are rare, the kind of athlete who can change the dynamic of a game simply by being on the field. But what truly stands out about Dowdy goes beyond his impressive physical stats. Yes, he's tall, strong, and has a frame that seems tailor-made for modern American football. However, it's his agility that truly makes eyes light up. In a sport where offensive linemen are often associated solely with brute strength, Dowdy brings a fluidity that's rare in someone his size. This opens up a huge range of possibilities for Alabama's offensive scheme, especially considering the versatile style DeBoer has implemented in recent seasons. Furthermore, there's a symbolism to this offer that transcends the field. By pursuing a Georgia player, Alabama isn't just trying to strengthen its team, it's sending a clear message to its southeastern rivals. We know the Alabama-Georgia rivalry is one of the most intense in college football, and plucking a promising talent like Dowdy from Kirby Smart's backyard would be a significant strategic and psychological coup. Of course, we're still in the early stages of this recruiting process, but the fact that the Crimson Tide was one of the first to enter the fray already speaks volumes about the winning mentality that permeates the program. Another important point to highlight is the consistency with which Alabama has been filling its talent pipeline. The program isn't just known for winning championships, it's famous for building teams that make a difference. Players like Dowdy represent the future of this machine, and the ability to attract young athletes with such potential is one of the pillars that underpins the Crimson Tide's continued success. It's worth remembering that recruiting is just the first chapter of this story. There's still a long way to go before Dowdy makes his final decision, and there will certainly be pressure from all sides. But if there's one thing Alabama knows better than any other program, it's convincing top talent that Tuscaloosa is the place where dreams come true. With Kalen DeBoer at the helm, this power of persuasion seems stronger than ever. Let's see what happens. Comment below.